In the words of Tommy Lackey Jr., there are tape bombs and there are tape bombs. The timing of the tape bombs is always important. The 6 p.m. tape bomb is pretty tough to deal with. It's got the markets off the lows for the week. We're trading higher. We got Fed Day. We're going to talk earnings. Uber, what can you do? High bar. Disney, low bar. We're all over the place on the earnings, folks. Lord Chico, 8:35. Talk biotech. I don't know if she's covers Sarepta, but are you going to buy the dip? Here we are, hump day, pre-market prep. Let's get it started.
The volatility right now is really incredible.
Wow, look at that consolidation on the upper right chart.
You know what we've seen this earnings season? Some of these expected moves get even more violent. This is why I have switched my strategy 10 years ago. And if you're chasing, you're in trouble.
Okay, let me share my charts here. Get things started on this green morning after a minor 2-day losing streak. We're up 34 handles, right near 56.60, off the high of the day and well off the low of the day. The buck up 21 cents, 99.25. TLT flat ahead of the Fed meeting, 87.69. USO, another good day here in the oil patch, up 91 cents, 65.51. GLD, it's moving, always down 348 at 312. Silver SLV just flat, trying to remain above $30, and Bitcoin futures are up $2,120, trying to get into that six-figure level. Let's bring in Triple D here. Triple D, get your sheet out from yesterday, your prep sheet, and tell me where you had on your prep sheet for after hours trading the 6 p.m. tape bomb.
No, I know. And right at 6 p.m. when the futures reopened, the timing of that was impeccable. I got killed on that number. So yes, it is true. There are actually traders in the media who talk about their losing positions. So what happened is I shorted SPY just before 6 p.m. because AMD started tanking and NVIDIA started tanking. You'll see that move down if you want to see the AMD move, which we can get to those earnings in a second. AMD was way up. When the futures closed at 5 p.m., AMD was up about $5. NVIDIA was trading higher. All the chips were trading higher. During the call, AMD puked. All the way down was trading lower. NVIDIA puked. Qs were puking. I'm like, well, SPY hasn't adjusted yet. SPY is going to open lower. So SPY's probably going to open down. I figured about, 50, 60 cents. So short a pile of SPY. And then we reopen at 6 p.m. And SPY comes in about 30 cents. I'm just going to cover. I'm literally pressing the button to cover. And we blast off like 50 handles in like 50 milliseconds. And I'm like, what just happened? So I literally missed the execution by like seconds. I was going to cover by like seconds, and the buy. So basically, I've just got slippage, and when I'm executing on it, and, I'm hedging myself up and I'm just buying SPY. I'm going to be a, happy camper. We're up 50 handles in 5 seconds, like 50 milliseconds. So like, holy crap, what just happened? Then you're obviously hearing the news. So all I'm doing is scrambling buying stocks. So scrambling buying stocks as much as I can, trying to catch up, because sometimes the stocks will lag a little bit there. But I mean, it was like just so fast. Like when you just see boom, boom, you're short the SPY. It runs 5 points. Like you said, Joel, it wasn't, 50 points.
I know.
It felt like it was 70 points, you said. 70 points in 2 minutes?
Yeah.
It was one of the most ridiculous pops I've ever seen. And then I see the news. Which was obviously well publicized. People have been talking about this morning. Besant's going to meet with China. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? We rally 70 handles because, they're going to have a meeting again. We're going to meet next week. How many times we've talked about, we're going to have a meeting. We're going to have this. I guess it's because it's from Bloomberg. I guess it's official that Besson's going to be meeting, somebody over there. We don't know who that is. We don't know what that encompasses. We don't know what any of that means. But what a ridiculous rally. So we got up to like 560. How high on SPY? 565?
Yeah, just a tad over 565.
So we've given half of it back. Deservingly so. I thought it was the stupidest rally of all time, not only because I was short, just because it felt like one of the stupidest rallies of all time. So at that point, we've come back down. But I mean, it wasn't old news, Richard. It was breaking, the 6 p.m. news dump.
It was
That
great.
was
Yeah, yep.
that was
Yep.
breaking news, and we rallied 70 handles on it. You can always trust when you rally 70 handles in 70 milliseconds or whatever the hell it was. It's never priced in. It's never old news. It is old news in the fact that they've been saying they're going to meet China, but now we have an actual person. We have an actual coming from Bloomberg. It wasn't just rhetoric from the White House. So do they deny it today? Maybe, because that's what they seem to do.
You can't be with the headline. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, and sometimes we search for things and we'll say, well, there just wasn't a catalyst, big buyer, big seller. But here, you did it. You took out yesterday's high. You're leaking. You're coming in.
Leaking significantly.
Leaking. But yep. Still off the lows, coming back to mid range on the session. So let's hope things balance out. Let's just go. Even though well, let's go with the after hours. AMD, who you were keying off as a stock. They did okay. They beat 96.94. Nice beat on revenue, 7.44 versus 7.13. Beat on sales, CQ2 sales. Well, you can drive a truck through that, 710 to 770 versus 724. I don't know what they said on their conference call. It's been all over the place. I mean, this thing's been sleepy. It's up a buck 45. Don't know what the expected move is, but I would say it's right at is yesterday's high. So tough to call things on earnings day, but let's see if the Bears can keep this under 100. Maybe you go down and test the close. If the Bulls can get a strong 100 bid, Monday's high was 102.05. Those seem to be far above what the expected, or far below what the expected move is.
If I seem distracted today, it's because I massively am. So when I got murdered on that SPY 50-point pop, about 70 stocks to try to hedge myself out. So I'm working, trying to work out of a lot of obviously positions here this morning. So just bear with me here. If I'm distracted, it's because I definitely am. You were talking, I'm sorry, because we sold off
AMD,
5 points
just
there,
talking
and I'm trying to work out of stuff.
Yeah, I was just talking about AMD, the culprit.
Yeah, I mean, we've been all over the place. Like you said, we're up, down, left, right. It's locking in at 100, probably a logical spot where they kind of want to pin it, where the natural market forces kind of want to pin it. So keep all that in mind when you're trading it. It's probably in the spot that it probably wants to be. But again, you got 2 more days. You got a plethora of earnings reports here this week. I mean, we can say, yeah, we're buying mega cap earnings, but we are not even close to being, out of earnings season here, because there are just hundreds and hundreds of companies reporting in the next couple of days, and a lot of them well-known retail names. So you lead the way, Joel, and I'll break in with some action. If you can give the news just to help me out a little bit today, folks, because holy crap, I'm gonna have to cancel orders.
Yep, and also,
Brent, I'm sorry. Where's Brent? Bring Brent in the background. Brent can run this for a couple minutes here, because I have just so many positions on. If Brent is
where is
there?
Good morning.
Okay, Dennis, why don't you just go to the background for a few minutes?
Yeah, no problemo. Joel, I'm just pulling up our outline right now.
Okay.
You gave the levels on AMD already, Joel. Let's jump to how about Upstart? Upstart was one that a few traders in the chat and the SEN chat last night were interested in, and I know Dennis had his eyes on this one a little bit. Upstart, bit of a retail favorite. Would you agree with that, Joel?
Oh, definitely. Not today.
Reporting not today. It seemed like they reported a strong quarter. They beat on both the top and bottom line. They raised their fiscal year guidance. They gave some Q2 sales guidance around 225 million. Analysts were down around 223 or 224. Stock trading down almost 20% here this morning.
I see the sales, I see the guidance. I mean, to me, that's not huge. I guess, I mean, kind of a high bar because you came off you were so far off the low of the move. So I guess you really needed to blow it away. People were
Mm-hmm.
trying to wiggle out 52, 53, but that's history now. Pre-market low is 41.28, I believe. You've bounced a but. I mean, can I sell the stock down $9? No. Can I buy it? If I was short, I'd really consider buying it. You're already filling a gap at 43.19. So just from a technical perspective, um, you know, be a cautious buyer. See if you test the pre-market low. I think if you don't take out that pre-market low in early trading, maybe get a little sympathy rally. Bottom of yesterday's range is 49.71. Brent, when you think of Upstart, what
Yeah.
are the second and third stocks that you think of?
I don't even know for Upstart, Joel. I can do a little quick searching
Okay.
here, but yeah, I haven't really traded this thing or anything like that. What I don't know. What about you, Joel?
Um. Well, here they say peers. I'm looking at. To me, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, a firm. What's a firm
I
doing?
think last night in SDN, people were going like, why is a firm trading the way it is with the way Upstart is trading? I think a firm's
Okay.
probably your top peer there. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm looking on one site, and they're the peers that they're given. I wouldn't make it there. I wouldn't call them their peers because they
Mm-hmm.
seem like a much more classical. Much more. I don't want to say not classical, but traditional
Yeah.
lenders. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Synchrony Financial, trading flat. Yep. So yeah, there's a look at Upstart. I think that would be below the. We've already exceeded the expected move. So keeping an eye on the pre-market low for Upstart.
I think last night a couple traders in STN were saying SoFi has a little bit of a peer, and I would kind of agree with that a little bit. Let's keep it rolling here, Joel, to one of our rather interesting stories from last night. Super Microcomputer, ticker SMCI, of course. Company had guidance on Thursday of last week, and I think let's be a little deliberate here with what happened last week and what happened last night. Let talk about a low bar, Joel. You said SMCI comes in under an already in the ground low bar. They gave Q3 guidance on Tuesday, Tuesday of last week.
Last week.
Guidance was cut in last week on Tuesday, literally about 8 days ago. They cut their guidance in half on Tuesday of last week, and then they come out. The Q3 results were where they said they were going to be, and then they gave also Q4 guidance, which was a lot worse than expected compared to the analyst consensus estimate. And then they cut their fiscal year 25 sales guidance. They were expecting about 23.5 to 25 billion, and they cut it all the way down to around 21.8 to 22.6 billion. Despite the guidance cut last week, analysts were still had not yet adjusted. It seems like had not yet adjusted their estimates, and the estimate was still around 24 billion for that fiscal year 25 guidance. SMCI here this morning trading down about 7%. Joel, when has the low bar stocks getting bought on a low bar trick not worked this earnings season so far?
This was a subject of big debate between me, you, and Dennis because when he was doing his homework, like is it a report to follow? Is it not a report to follow? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, what if they? I was just thinking with this company and the news flow out of it. I mean, anything can happen. Well, they lowered the bar and they couldn't get above the lower bar. And I think I think this sector's been a little bit hit too. I'll just note when they gave the guidance, it ended up having a decent day. It made a low right off the open at 28.78. Still closed down substantially on the day at 31.86. You're traded down again. I guess if you're looking for a repeat, I don't. It doesn't look like it wants to go to 28.78. That's the next daily low after your 31.15 low. 30 is a psychological number. A couple other lows at 29 and a half and 30. So that's why I take a look at this one. But 31.52. If you're trying to wiggle out of a bad trade, the bottom of yesterday's range is definitely within reach. That comes in at 31.52. Will you see the market 32.94? Well, your guess is as good as mine. But the algos read it. They give the news. The algos read the news one way. Okay, and then
Mhm.
if they come up with the same news and it's bad, then you could have had the opposite reaction if they would have beat the lower guidance. But man, we talk about this, and Christian especially talks about companies that when they're out of favor and they're out of. I mean, once this company gives you good news, it just seems like it's few and it seems like they're the Boeing
Yeah.
of Q2.
Yeah, that's a pretty good analogy. And like we still haven't heard from, anything on BDO on their auditor. Dennis yesterday was just like, I don't know if they're going to publicize what happened with BDO. Maybe that's a reality that investors in this name are going to have to start living with, unfortunately, that maybe we're just going to never hear anything about that external auditor. Let's talk about another already low bar, and probably our worst performer here this morning from one of our bigger earnings reports, and in a sector that was absolutely slammed yesterday on news related to Vinay Prasad. Sarepta, our biggest loser here, down almost 20%. Company reported, not like they beat on the sales figure. They had a big miss on the loss figure, a much larger than expected loss, a loss of 342. Analysts were down around $1 loss. What do you think about Sarepta here, Joel, this morning, trading down almost 20%?
Well, historically, well, first of all, remember back in the office when uh, the news broke on that drug, um, and we actually talked to the mother, or you talked to the mother of the kids.
Oh, yeah. I forget what. Yeah, that was Sarepta. Yeah,
Yeah, Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
yeah.
Yeah, well, that was back. This
That
might
was
have been back in
probably
18, maybe
2018.
18.
I was gonna guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2018, 2019. Well, have the mighty fallen here. I will just say that, and this is definitely an exception to the rule, biotech stocks moving on earnings is one thing. Unless this means like, man, the cupboard is dry. We got nothing in the pipeline. We're never going to create a new drug again. We're losing money. We're going to need to raise money. If that's the scenario, then buyer beware. If this is an
Hmm.
overreaction, this is probably another move that is exceeding the expected move. Pre-market low, 33 and a quarter, Brent. 33 and a quarter. That's
Wowza.
$5. Should I bet you a
Wowza.
lunch at your local place that the low of the day, the
No,
pre-market low is going to hold?
I would not bet against you on that one.
Okay. Okay. And also Dennis, he was talking our good or I would say our good friend, a former guest of the show, Martin Scully. He's running a podcast during the day. I think he's looking to buy the dip on this one, but don't quote me on it. Once again, I mentioned solar stocks yesterday. I haven't really had in my portfolio. I've discussed putting this one in my portfolio, but I never have. But Sarepta, whew, oh boy, looking ugly here. We are back to levels. It hasn't been under $40 since September of 2017. I'll give you a
Whoa.
couple other monthlies. I'd be keen on 35.26. Forget about that pre-market low, and then your July 2017 low came in at 32.80. There's a look at Sarepta.
Let's do one more from last night and one with a little bit more of a rosy outlook. I need a little optimism here after those last two or three that we looked at. Let's talk about EA here real quick. Reported Q4 beat. They gave some Q1 guidance that was pretty strong on the gap figure, pretty strong on the sales. Their fiscal year guidance wasn't super hot. It was kind of like mid range. But investors here this morning buying it up. Shares are up about 5% here in EA this morning.
Okay. Before I like totally jinx this stock, hope
Joel.
and doesn't want to get uh, Netflixed. I guess it's kind of tariff proof. I don't know. I don't know where all the games are.
We
Go
had it
ahead.
on the tariff proof list. Could that
Okay.
mean that it's going to remain on the tariff proof list? I mean, we kind of got burned with, with Netflix a little bit. So I'm just a little nervous about anything being tariff proof at this point.
All right. This isn't investment advice. But if an all-time high in the stock is 168.50 from November of last year, and you go in the pre-market and you get up to 167, man, maybe you should have adjusted your target because you're back up here, folks. This is where you're back up to. So if you're a Momo kind of guy and you think we're going to back to an all-time high today, and this is just a hypothetical setup, you buy 162, man, I wouldn't want to see a 160, 140 print. I just would, I want to see this bid up $7.50 on 6,700 shares. Don't know what it traded after hours, but that's a big move. I think let's just go to the dailies. And I would just go with some daily targets here. We'll just bring them in for you. And these are just if I'm not recommending shorting, but if you're just looking for some daily targets in here, see if you get lifted at 164.61, right? That's $2.50 away. See if you get lifted at 166.16. See if you get lifted a little bit higher than that. I mean, if you're looking to sell, then the one thing good about having those offers out at those levels is you can see if people are stepping ahead of you. I'd even say 164 right now. That was your high at 1815. So, a couple levels to look at EA. And I just wanted to go take two.
Okay.
Thank you for delaying the game. Buy the dip works again. I just alert our traders and investors that wow, this is up $6 today. $6. Is that right? Is there
Off
any
EA,
volume?
Joel.
I know, but $6?
I know it seems a little bit overdone. It seems a little bit overdone, but I'm back here. We've stabilized here. So no, I didn't just leave you guys hanging. I had to go make a few trades. So we just dropped 10 points. So in case you're just tuning in here just now, I got picked off, lost a pile of money at the 6 p.m. China news dump and still working myself out. So I have a pile of positions today. So there's going to be some times where I've just got to go trade. So probably during the guest as well, I'm probably going to go trade. But I do want to talk with you guys. I do value everyone in this chat, and obviously PreMarket Prep's been coming here for so long. So I'm trying to basically juggle two balls here right now. I have the most positions that I've had in a long time. So just trying to work it out.
Okay.
You know what's interesting?
Dennis, I really don't think you need you really need to apologize. I think you give tremendous insight. And
well,
very
because
nice to you,
I'm not
Dennis.
apologizing to Martin, who has been absolutely just trashing me in the chat for a long time here now. So Martin, if you're out there, you're officially blocked. I've never blocked anyone in pre-market prep before. I have never done that before. But you You say nasty things once, twice, 100 times, it's over. So I'm setting a new rule. I give you 99 free passes. On the 100th time, you're gone. So Martin, you've been officially blocked.
Very
You are
generous,
still in
Dennis.
the chat, but I blocked you, so I don't see your messages anymore. So sorry, Martin. I have no idea what you're
No,
talking
he's apologizing now.
No,
He says,
whatever. He's been toxic to this chat room for a long time here now. So
okay,
moving on. That's politics. Then let's move to the business of trading here.
hell yeah.
So we have, lots. You guys are doing a great job covering the earnings, by the way, and I've been listening the whole time. Let's move from take
Thanks,
two.
Dennis.
Yeah. Did you do House of Mouse yet?
I knew you were
We
going to
did not.
go there.
That's
knew you
what
it's like
was,
the Denny
that's what was
wrong
next.
day. It's like everything that I could do possibly wrong, although I did not lose money on this, but I wanted to short in the report. So I was just thinking about it, so I'm punishing myself for that one too, because I thought about going short. Give me the Brentster, do you have the report on that?
Yeah.
Have they given earnings?
The guidance. They gave the earnings. The earnings were
the guidance. The guidance.
Yeah. They gave guidance. I'm seeing fiscal year 25 adjusted earnings around 575. Analysts were down under 550. I never really know what to make when a company just gives kind of like one number and not a range for their guidance. So, that's just just makes me question a little bit. But yeah, did look like some decent guidance, Dennis.
Okay. So I'm shocked that they guided higher here, if they guided higher. It's up $7. I did not see this one coming. I have no position in it. I didn't have the guts to go short it because I thought it had a low bar. So I'm like, I'm not going to go against my whole thesis that I've been talking about on this show for the last 2 weeks, is that stocks trading up near their highs have been shorts in the reports. Stocks trading not far from their lows have been buys in the reports. That trade has just worked so fabulously well. I'm like, Disney's just too low of a bar for me to go short. I thought that they were going to lower guidance. They're not. I thought that the earnings were going to be fine. I wasn't concerned, but I thought they'd lower guidance, but apparently they did not. So Disney's getting the big pop, relief pop for Disney. I wouldn't be chasing it. I still think there's pain coming for Disney, but obviously they're not seeing any pain yet.
What is their a foreign film exposure? Remember that when Netflix and Disney got knocked out?
Everything,
Yeah.
Joel. I mean, we're just in the buy the dip mentality. It's just
Okay.
like we go down yesterday, the market just buys it back. The market is done worrying about tariffs. The market is done worrying about everything. All the market can think about is all-time highs.
Dennis, are you now? I know you've been down to Florida the last couple of years to Walt Disney World.
Yep.
Are you going to go to go visit the new theme park in Abu Dhabi?
I did see that. So they're opening a new theme park, and the stock did pop a little bit on that news here as well. So in Dubai, they're opening plans to open Disney theme park and resort on Yas Island. Don't know where Yas
beautiful!
Island is,
I love Yas Island.
Sounds fun. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Let's
go to Yas Island. I'm in.
How about let's do a seminar there. Let's do we haven't done a road trip. Brent's been talking about road trips. That would be a road trip. What about they expect to recognize a non-cash tax benefit of $3.3 billion related to the termination of the Hula's partnership tax status in the Q3 for Q3. Is that much?
Nothing about that. Yes,
okay.
I know nothing about that.
All right. Let me give you technicals. And Dennis loves one number, and I'm going to give you one number.
One number, me. I want the number of all numbers, Joel.
101.6358. 101.60. That splits the two highs here.
358 sub pennies just for me as well.
Yes, because that's
a shout out to you, Citadel, the sub penny master.
That is the area of these three highs right here, and I'm not buying it. You can buy it with your own money, up $8, up 8%. I don't know what the statistics are. Buying Disney up $8 and getting some follow through. I'm not gonna poo-poo it. But man, if anybody, of course, if you bought the 100 calls, you're scratching your head and you're like, you're praying for the stock to hold up there over the open. You're probably making some money, but Man, you could have bought this thing under $90 2 days ago, and now it's at 100. I don't know what your long-term horizons are. I don't know if you think a recession's coming or not, but boy, oh boy. Nice move for the House of Mouse. We did Sarepta. Let's go. Let's go high
Right
bar.
tape, right tape too. I mean, again, we've come off from the highs, but we are up, and people are like, looking at dips to buy. And obviously, this wasn't a dip, but it's the right tape too. Which stock you want to go to?
High bar. Uber.
It was a high bar, all the way high bar. And actually, normally I go long Uber into earnings like the night before because it almost always gets bid up, and I'm like, nah. I'm like, I do not want to get stuck. I was in the STM room. I'm like, I do not want to get stuck long this stock. Do not want to get stuck long this stock in the report because this stock's went from 60 to 85 in 3 weeks. It is like the highest bar of highest bars here. Stock going out at all-time highs or very close, if not all-time highs. I think within a smidgen. So I'm like, nope, not for me, not touching it. And I didn't. I did trade it a little bit there, but definitely not taking it through the report. I was like, I will not take this long through the report. So comes out again. This trade, simplistic trade. Stock at the highs, it's probably a short in the report. Stocks at the lows, it's probably a buy into the report. Continues to work. What's the numbers?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Christian Fromhertz on you, and I'm gonna say, they're hitting a stock, and it's not because of bad earnings, right? They're hitting it because of high expectations. So put it on your radar. I mean, it did have a big run. If you think you've missed out, you think this is going to triple digits. I would see what the Bulls and Bears can decide to do at $83, because right now we're just below it, but there's a pair of lows. So if the Bulls want to say, giddy up, this is a stupid move, we're going to go 83 bid for the third day in a row. I don't know if you can get back up to the all-time closing high of 85, 83. But let's see what happens at. If in fact you can't hold this 83 level, instead of giving you all the levels off, I would just look at your daily levels, 8180, 8067. There's really no double bottoms except for that one. So $83. That's the level of control here in Uber. Lyft. Let's look at it. It puts me to sleep.
It's not
Lyft.
even getting a sympathy move. Oh yeah, it is. Sorry, it is. It is. It is down.
It's down 11 cents.
It's down a little bit. If you call that a sympathy move, it
Uh,
reports tomorrow night. So we have Lyft reporting tomorrow night as well. Does this set the bar a little bit lower for Lyft? Maybe, because Uber's down. The one thing I will say, and I just want to finish with this on Uber, is that we have seen again and again where some of the stocks that have the high bar come down, and the ones that are reporting still decent earnings, sometimes those dips get bought. Think of like, Spotify, for instance, bought, it got hit because of high bar, but then got bought back. So just keep that in mind. The stocks that are reporting disappointing earnings, even some of them, I guess, they're just buying the dip, man. IBM, XYZ, I guess it's just buy the dip. I guess this is what wins. It's the eternal winning strategy, and it just continues to win in this market. This is maybe it was the ultimate sell the rip market a few weeks ago. Right now might be the ultimate buy the dip market. It just might be that. I don't know when the pony ride ends, but at some point in time, there's going to be some follow through. But I got to say, like, right now, they're just buying the dip relentlessly on everything.
Well, we'll see if they're going to be buying the dip in biotech. Let's bring our guest on. Okay, bring a nice soothing voice to pre-market prep this morning. Laura Chico, over Wedbush Securities. She's covering the always tricky biotech market. Laura, how you doing today?
Morning, Joel. Yeah, and I heard the chatter about buy the dip. My immediate reaction was, wow, you're going to love biotech.
Okay. Boy, oh boy. I mean, we could think about, the negative catalyst, interest rates, that's somewhat of a factor. The administration, the current stance on the administration. maybe not so biotech friendly. Can you give us any more negative catalysts? And then I'm talking just macro here.
Yeah.
And can you give us a couple positive catalysts?
Yeah, let's start off with the bad and we'll end with the good. Now, yesterday we saw the XBI come under hard pressure. They announced the nomination of Vinay Prasad to the Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research, CBER, which is a division of FDA that typically oversees gene therapies, vaccines. Vinay Prasad, probably not a household name, but for those in the sector, this was a bit of a head scratcher. The administration has been talking a lot about facilitating accelerated approvals, getting new treatments to market, but Dr. Prasad has definitely been a vocal critic of the accelerated approval process and things like that. So that was why you saw the sector come under pressure, specifically names that are focused on things like gene therapy, cell therapy, drugs that would be requiring or leveraging accelerated approval pathways. The good part, if I draw the lens back, I'm not necessarily a fan of this appointment. And I think it creates a lot more controversy and confusion. But if I go to the kind of the core of what Dr. Prasad's messaging is, it's really, look, we want more definitive science backing these drugs up. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. So that might be a little bit of a controversial view there, but I do think at the end of the day, we want drugs that actually work and that we can clearly see that they work. So maybe this is a rising tide for folks that the better drugs do get through. But yeah, I think for some programs, this might be a bit of a headwind. In terms of other policy things that we're going to be watching for, one, you mentioned tariffs. Maybe the market is done with tariff headwinds. I certainly hope so. Not sure exactly how that comes through, but in the biotech sector specifically, I think it's a little bit more resilient against some of those tariffs. And then last thing, you might have seen the acronym MFN, Most Favored Nations Pricing. That's just a headline risk as well. Will they try to impose pricing controls on some of these drugs? But I still think there's a lot of good things moving forward in the pipelines, and still companies have access to capital. So that's really critical for our sector.
Okay, we got a big mover this morning. I don't see it on your coverage list in Sarepta. So we just, if you want to make a comment on any related stocks, or just take a hard pass, Laura, because.
I'll take a stab at it, at least, and kind of give some color here. So Sarepta, big move down yesterday as well. The chart probably looks pretty disturbing at this point. And this was directly because of the Dr. Prasad appointment to CBER. I think there's concern here. Are they going to have something like eteplirsen, their drug, removed from the market? This was something that got to the market under accelerated approval, needed confirmational studies conducted. And I think that's what you're seeing here reflected in the chart is this a name that really comes under direct threat from the new CBER appointment? What I would say is, we cover names like Solid Biosciences, for example, the ticker's SLDB, also kind of took it on the chin yesterday. I believe it was down over 20% at one point. The difference between Solid and Sarepta, Solid is far earlier stage. We just got some recent phase 1-2 data. But I would say the approach with Solid SLDB is they are planning to do a double-blind placebo-controlled study of their gene therapy for Duchenne muscular dystrophy. The stock is trading essentially almost at cash at this point, but I do think they've been doing a great job, and this is a next-gen technology where we're seeming to see more production of dystrophin, which is that missing protein in these kids with Duchenne. So I do think might have been a market overreaction for something like Solid. For Sarepta, TBD on how Dr. Prasad approaches this and FDA approaches how they view accelerated approval. But that's kind of how we're looking at the lens right now.
Okay. I mean, I did not notice that dip yesterday in Sarepta, and now I'm looking at it. So, boy, oh boy, just the only thing, and you could comment on this. I mean, you had the news yesterday and the follow through today with the earnings, and the earnings are not great, but overall, I mean, aren't the primary catalysts for biotech stocks what they got in the pipeline as opposed to the earnings?
Oh, most definitely. Sarepta might be a little bit of an outlier because this is a commercial name, and you do have, unfortunately, a recent death occurred for one of their gene therapy patients. So I think, you have the culmination of I've got commercial concerns to be worried about, and now I have regulatory risk and policy oversight. So I think that might be complicating the Sarepta picture. But one other driver that we haven't talked a lot about is M&A. There have been some recent announcements, but unfortunately, it's been pretty quiet in recent months here.
Okay, so let's talk about that. I'm going through your list of stocks here, and I'm like, I kind of want to start out with the positive here.
Okay.
And I'm having a little bit of a hard time doing this. So I usually don't ask my guests for some help here, but
no worries. Yeah.
How about a little help on some positives here?
I'm going to go with TVTX, Travere Therapeutics. And this is a commercial name, but it's also one that has some regulatory programs advancing as well. Rare disease drug and kidney. And I think we're looking to see if they can expand that approval for their drug Filspari right now. They just reported earnings for the first quarter, looking solid. And I think the treatment guidelines for this kidney disease have recently been updated. I think that provides some positive momentum for these guys. And the second indication would be a related kidney disease, FSGS. That significantly would broaden the market. And we really, unfortunately, don't have much in the way of competition in that FSGS segment. So if they're able to get
give
approval,
me that, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Can you give me that
symbol?
TVTX, Tango Victor Tango X-ray.
Tango Victor
Tango X-ray.
I am horrible with these stocks. Okay, there we go. That's not a bad looking chart here. Traded up a stick. $22 looks like a pretty good level if you look at things on a technical basis. Do you ever look at charts, Laura? I mean, I know
I'm terrible at it. So unfortunately, that's why I have to watch you.
Yeah. Well, the golden rule of technical analysis is that you buy the bottom of the page and you sell the top of the page.
There we go.
There are your tips. Okay, let's stick with some good here. In your list, either stocks that have been holding up okay, or stocks that maybe have some FDUFA dates coming up or something to look forward to.
Yeah, I think one that just also reported a positive earnings update, and this is another commercial name, but Biocryst, BCRX. And this is another orphan disease company with a product on the market for this rare disease, hereditary angioedema. Now, this is a name we've more recently launched on, but I got to say that we're pretty excited about the opportunity here. A lot of the therapies for HAE, this is a rare disease where you have these random swelling attacks. And unfortunately, if you have a swelling attack in your throat, that can be a fatal attack. So the therapy that Biocryst sells is called Orladeyo. It's an oral product that people take daily so you can prevent these attacks. And I think the other therapies that are out there on the market are injectable. So Biocryst really has a nice niche here with the oral product. They've also got a pipeline program that's advancing in another rare disease called Netherton syndrome, and we'll get data on that later this year. But right now, commercial dynamics looking really solid for Orladeyo uptake. Really like this one, especially relative to where it's trading at today.
Okay, let's Richard Hentz comes in and says, what's the TAM for BCRX?
I think they have talked about getting to $800 million in the U.S. with Orladeyo. They're guiding to a peak estimate of $1 billion globally. I think that's a pretty exciting opportunity, especially kind of where they're at right now. They're over a $500 million run rate today, so still good growth opportunity. And hereditary angioedema outside the U.S., there's more of a push to expand what we're calling prophylaxis treatment, and that's taking that pill every day. Right now, it's only about 60% of patients outside the U.S. do that. Within the U.S., it's about 80% of HAE patients are on prophylactic therapy. So you have more room to run here, getting more people on there. And you can imagine being able to deliver a pill is a lot easier than delivering these injections. So I think there's a lot more room to go here with Orladeyo. And then if that pipeline opportunity hits, the stock really doesn't reflect any credit right now for pipeline opportunity.
Let's go off your coverage board again. So hard pass if you want. CRSP. CRISPR Therapeutics, a Kathy Wood favorite.
Yep.
You want to pass on that one?
I'm probably going to pass, but I will say kind of the drawdown there yesterday was probably directly related to Dr. Prasad's appointment again. So like these kind of names, unfortunately, are coming under pressure just with his appointment there.
A big theme of our show this year has been talking about the tariffs. Obviously, a lot of other shows, very big part of the market here. But we got a question here in the chat. Boy, my chat's making me look smart today, Laura. This is not me asking these questions. Can you ask if she recommends any pharma bio names that will benefit from bringing production back to the USA?
That's a tough question to ask. And unfortunately, it depends a lot on, well, a couple of different things. And one is going to be, where is the revenue for the company originating? A lot of the pharmas are kind of multinational corporations and obviously have footprint across different geographies. But the other element of this is also the drug product itself. Now, for small molecules and generics, the margin profile is just a lot tighter, and you don't have that ability to absorb a lot of this tariff hit. And you contrast that versus something like a biologic, where the gross margins are far different. I just think the biotechs are probably going to be able to navigate the tariffs a little bit easier, say, than like a spec pharma or a generic company.
Okay. So we've tried to cover as much as the good as possible. We know it's been tough. So if you get in, like you're in the Chicago area, right?
Yes. Yep.
So if you get in a cab or an Uber and a guy and he asks what you do and you tell him and he says, "Oh, I want to buy this stock in your coverage list." And you're like, "Oh no, that's like, oh no, oh no." What would be what would be, a stock that you have a neutral or negative rating on?
Well, we've been pretty cautious, I would say, on Biogen, for example. This is BIIB. And this, that chart's not going to look too exciting. And I think the big issue we've had here is just, where's the growth? They have a tremendous history in biotech. They're one of the founding companies of biotech. They were started in 1978. Unfortunately, a lot of their programs on the market today are coming under competitive pressure, and they have some new things coming up in the pipeline, but frankly, it's not enough to turn the needle around here. And management is guiding to another year of declining revenue. So this is one, they've done a great job on realigning the cost base for the company, but really not excited about a lot of the revenue growth opportunities at this point. And I think this is a name that definitely needs to go shopping and pick up some more assets via M&A to really get that revenue turned around.
Okay, one final question for you here. Well, two stocks that I don't see them on your coverage list: ADMA, and did we cover TGTX? Is any of those stocks you want to comment on, or I can hit you up with my final question?
I think those, I might have to take a pass on both of those. Just not familiar enough.
I understand.
Yeah.
My question is, and this is related to Biogen.
Yep.
For so many years, I mean, this stock, the moves were all predicated on, finding a cure for Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm.
And what was that other stock that turned out to be an absolute dog? Sava? Was that?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's $1.56.
Yeah.
It's a terrible, debilitating disease. Haven't heard much about any positives as far as drugs go. Where do we stand on that?
I'll just take a step back and anybody who's ever had to deal with somebody in their family or friends with Alzheimer's, you hit it on the head, Joel. It is just a terrible disease to have to watch folks go through it. And I think, unfortunately, we're still in the early innings. And I think a lot more needs to be done on the diagnostic front and being able to better define who actually has it and what kind of disease do they have. Is it actually Alzheimer's, or is it vascular dementia or something else? And I think, you show up at your doctor's office and they say you have Alzheimer's. Contrast that with how we diagnose cancer. And you might have ER positive, HER2 new breast cancer. Like, that's the level of granularity we got to get to with dementia. And unfortunately, we're just not there yet. And I think once we see those kind of advances, then we bring it back and we can really better identify some therapies there.
Okay. All right. Laura Chico over there at Wedbush Securities. Laura, just what a great interview. I really appreciate it. The chat really appreciates your input. And I'm marking you down to get you on again real soon. It's a difficult, volatile sector to cover it, and you're doing a great job of it. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Joel. Appreciate being here today.
Okay, thank you. Laura Chico, Managing Director over there at Wedbush Securities. How you doing, Triple
Wow.
D?
She's really good. She knows a lot. And I'm impressed, when you go off her coverage list and then she's just got details on those two. She knows her stuff when. So I was very impressed with that interview. I was going to jump in, but you were doing such a good job, Joel. I was like, I'll sit back and watch and enjoy. So thank you so much, Laura. If she's still listening, you did a great job. 8:51. We got 9 minutes here left in the show. There is like 10,000 earnings stocks to cover, so we can go anywhere. Ticker time from the chat, but it has to be earnings. So a special ticker time. It's got to be earnings. So give us the tickers that you want to talk about because there was so many stocks reported last night. I am going to do the first one, and it's going to be, well, I was going to go with Astera Labs, but it's not moving much. So I'm not going to go off the board here. I'm going to go with Wynn Resorts because the buy the dip theme works again. WYNN reports $1.07 versus $1.19, 1.7 billion versus 1.74 billion. That's a miss on the top. That's a miss on the bottom. The stock was getting beat up, and you can say, well, Denny, the bar is kind of high. Well, really go back out to your monthlies. The bar is not high. The stock was $200 back in 2018. It's $83 it went out at. So they hit it, but again, buy the dippers emerged, Joel. I saw it get down to the 79 handle. We are now back up at 85. So buy the dip, win money. Just continues to work.
It actually got to 78 and 26.
Holy.
Yeah, I mean, not a gap fill. It's I don't know, 77.48. This is an absolute curveball to me. I would look at 85 here. You had a high at 85. If you're buying this off the hop, make sure it holds an 85 bid. Limited resistance after that. But I mean, these stocks have just, if you think about like the DraftKings, which hasn't, where is DraftKings now? You bought that a while ago.
I'm long that. Yeah, I bought it around 30 and a half. It's just hanging out. I think it reports.
Yeah, I don't know. These stocks, I mean, they haven't been in favor in a long time, so I don't know what all of a sudden. Also, with Wynn, do you think about the Chinese exposure in Macau? I mean, super curveball. I didn't like that one. Where do you want to go next?
Unity, the chat wanted to go to. I believe the first one was from Philip. Unity Software. I'll give you the earnings report and I'll let Joel break down the technicals. He's better at the technicals than I am. Reported 24 cents. Beating, they're supposed to lose money, but I don't think that's comparable. Sales, though, beat as well. Guidance was a little bit light. 415 million to 425 versus 423 million. So a little bit on the lower end, but good enough. It is have a low bar. It was $30 back in February. It's $21 here now. Lifting a little bit here in the pre-market. It's one I've had on my shopping list, and I've been in it a couple of times successfully here. I don't know if I'm trading off this, but give me some technicals, Joel.
It's easy. Get another easy one. It's all about 2265. You did spike through it in the pre-market, getting into the 23 handle. But right now, 3 highs in the same area, 3-star resistance. Let's see if you can take that way out and work up your way to the pre-market high. If you're looking to buy this thing, but you don't want to jump into the open, maybe you get a look at unchanged here at 2132.
Also, AMD was a huge one that reported last night. I don't think you guys covered that. If you did, forgive me. Did you cover it?
Yeah, we did, and I covered it with you.
You did.
It's just hanging out. I mean, I don't have a feel for it. It's just
kind of in the middle of nowhere, but it's been chopping. So keep an eye on that. It's chopping around. Vistra, VST, also reported earnings. Sales missing slightly. Stock trading a little bit down here. Again, it's another one that's been really beat up. I know it's come back from the April lows, but when you look at where this stock has come from, it was $200, $199 at the beginning of the year. So little comeback trail for Vistra. The earnings were fine here, I think, but again, maybe the bar it is a slight miss on revenue. So I'll take it back. The earnings aren't that fine. It's a slight miss on revenue. Stock trading down $3 in the pre-market. It's cousin CEG. You can always look at that one too. It's trading higher here today, but VST trading down 141.10. Thoughts?
CG had these stocks had big moves yesterday. I can't remember exactly what the catalyst was, but VST got taken along for the ride. We'll call resistance up at the close of 144.80. And even with it down 370, I mean, at the current price, it's still $4 off the low from yesterday. You almost got to that low during the pre-market, so down but not out here for VST.
And remember, Jay making a fantastic point in the chat. CEG was down pre-market yesterday and then turned around and ripped. So we do have this buy the dip mentality out there. I'm not saying, we know history doesn't repeat itself, as Ryan Dietrich always says, but it sometimes rhymes. Next stock I'm going to go to is Arista Networks, ANET. That stock is trading lower in the pre-market. We are in the dip, buy the dip type of market, so I'm not sure if the dip's going to get bought here or not, but I can tell you the earnings were okay. 65 cents versus 60 is a beat on the bottom line. Top line, slight miss, $2 billion versus $2.02 billion. Revenue, sales, sees $2.1 billion, estimates $2.11 billion. So just kind of in line. A slightly light. What's the pre-market showing you here on this one?
It's showing it down $5. So I think that you had a gap area at 86. So if this thing's going to go higher, the bulls are going to step in. They're going to defend the gap here, right at 86, 86.37, and maybe poke it up to the bottom of yesterday's range. But these are always tricky. When you fall into the gap, you think, oh man, I'm going to get this at 82.56. Maybe, but man, a lot of times it's just, not as easy. So taking out the low from yesterday, taking out the low of the gap up, pick your poison here between 82.56 and 86.37.
I think we got time for one more. Rivian, RIVN. The 10 is the support, 10 to 11. This is the eternal support. It's like the support of all support levels there. That's not coming into play today, but I just wanted to say every time it seems to come down there, it bounces out of it. They did beat, if you could call it a beat. They lost 48 cents, supposed to lose 87 cents. Sales, 1.24 billion versus 1 billion. So the numbers were fine. The guidance was not great here, though. They guided down to, I believe, making less cars or selling less cars than they did in the previous quarter for the next quarter here, so year over year. So not great. Lots of uncertainty they cited. I did hear a little bit of the commentary from the call. Lots of uncertainty here about tariffs and, about just in market, more so the economic environment that we're going into. So they were conservative with the guidance.
Is there a big price difference between like the Rivian trucks and the Tesla trucks?
They're all really super expensive. So Rivian, really? Fun. Let's just go ask Rivian truck price. About 71,000. The priciest one's about 100 grand. Obviously, the Tesla's higher with that Cybertruck. Yeah, the Tesla Cybertruck. Sorry, I'm trying to just grab comparables. It's more for sure.
Really? Okay. I mean,
it's about the Tesla Cybertruck is like upwards over. It says starting at 72, but I've never seen one. And so it's similar, 72 to 102. So it actually is pretty close. The Rivian truck looks 1,000 times better.
I know. Than Tesla. I was just gonna say
1,000 times better. The Rivian one looks good. The Tesla one does not look good. Remember, I originally before the concept come out, I was like, I'm gonna buy that new Tesla truck when it comes out, that new EV, and then it came out, and I'm like, it's hideous. I can't do it. It's too ugly. I don't even care. Like, look at me. I'm wearing a t-shirt. Don't do my hair. I'm not even about looks. Even I'm bothered by the looks of the Tesla truck. It's gotta be an issue.
All right. Well, let's wrap things up. 9 a.m. here. Um, Fed Day. Fed Day. 2 p.m. So we'll see. I mean, if you want a preview, I could give you a preview. We're holding tight. We're data dependent. Haven't not haven't reached our goal yet. We'll see what the data is. Unsure of the impact of tariffs because we don't know what the tariffs are. So there you go. Let's wrap things up here, folks. Thanks for joining us on Pre-Market Prep.